everyone, Sabaidi. I
Right.
am Miss Joy, and I'm really happy to be with you all. Thank you so much, Chase, for that lovely introduction. And thank you, Vakanda, for what you're doing with the Lao Project. This is really amazing.
Yes, we're so
Awesome.
glad to have you join us this evening. And, um, you know, I feel like it's an understatement to say, like, right, we're having DJ Miss Joy come and join us because I feel like a lot of people know you in the community and know, like, your work as a DJ, but also are starting to know your work as a sort of community advocate with your work with Legacies of War. And so we'll talk about all that tonight as well. But yeah, thank you again for joining us. And so we'll just go ahead and get right started. For those of you who may not know DJ Miss Joy, I'd love to show a clip of her performing for you all so that you can sort of see the impact of her work. And so we'll take a quick look at a clip.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. All the way up.
And yeah, and so that's just a clip of DJ Miss Joy at work, and you can see like there's a large number of people in the crowd, and so this is just something that we can use as a precursory notion to the work that you do, Miss Joy. And so before we get to that, I do want to talk about sort of your identity and the story before you became DJ Miss Joy. And so if you can share with us sort of your story, your family story of coming to America and being a part of the diaspora community and sort of like your upbringing. So please share with us.
Yeah, thank you for showing that clip. I wanted to start breakdancing. That was really fun.
Nice. So did I. Couldn't sit still.
Well, a lot of people always ask me what my real name is, and my real name is Joy, and I've been calling myself Miss Joy since the third grade. So it just came to be my DJ name. But my parents came here in 1977, and they fled the Secret War, during that time, and it was a really difficult transition, I would like to say, for my family. But I think that a lot of us in the Lao diaspora share the same thing, to be able to have your family uprooted from their beautiful country and to come with, basically nothing, but to be given so many wonderful opportunities here. I feel really super blessed. So my family background is uh, from Laos. I'm second generation Lao American, and just really proud to rep culture and rep being American as well. I think that it coincides together, and I couldn't see one without the other.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you mentioned the being second generation because I feel like that's with sort of a uniformity with our guests is that a lot of them are first generation or second generation, and so we're all sort of learning how to tread the line of the duality between being Lao and also being American, right? Like what does it actually mean to be American in the perspective lens of like amongst all the other Asian American and Pacific Islanders, but also just like within our own communities, right? How do you know if you're like a percentage of Lao, right? Is that visibly if you're participating in traditions or can speak the language, right? So I want to ask you that as well, sort of how you sort of tread that line of identity. Um, do you think of yourself as 50% Lao, 50% American, or is it something else? And yeah, so share that as well.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 100% Lao, 100%. And I know that when I go to Laos, I'm considered American, and I get it, on my passport and everything, but my DNA and how I dream, how I just operate in this human form in America on this planet is through my Lao roots and intention, and what I mean by that is like what my ancestors, what my mother has instilled in me, and why I'm doing what I'm doing here today. And it's not something that is an easy path to do, especially when you are unaware and you have the enjoyment of a lot of freedom and frivolous things. But what I mean by frivolous is a lot of the things that my parents would be like, oh, that's so American. Like, you should be focusing on these other things, which we can get into later. But I feel that my heart has always remembered what it was for my parents to come, to be here in the US. And I never forgotten, and my mom never let me forget how important it is to be really proud of who I am and our family lineage. It's really sacred.
And what does that look like when your mom never lets you forget about your family lineage? Can you give us like an example? Because I know what my mom does is she reminds us by telling us to pop or pray every night before we go to sleep and say these chants every night before we sleep, the Buddhist chants. And that always grounds me every day. What does she do for you?
That sounds really lovely. It sounds really relaxing. My experience is a little bit like it feels like a lotus flower, like where it's all muddy and really hard. And like coming from that is like this light is I'm blooming into this lotus flower. She is very strict person. She is uh, I would say kind of controlling. In Laos, she was a teacher, professor. And so, like, to her, education has always been something that has been like the forefront of how she taught us to be. And I never pursued higher education because in music, it's just something with DJing that I didn't have to. But I do appreciate that she did teach me a lot of really great values. Um, what it looks like to me is her really highlighting that we come from a family, a lineage of like just richness, like richness in the spirit, in the heart, richness in nature, in intention, in purity. Like it's the dream is like really, really big, and I can see how I dream within my family's dream, like how the capacity of me to understand what I can do in this lifetime is based off of what I've seen my mom do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your mom, you said she was a teacher, a professor in Laos, and then now here in America, can you tell us a little bit about what she has done that has really inspired you?
Being a single mom, she was a single mom for a really long time. And with war comes a lot of, PTSD and disconnection of the heart of family. So my mom raised three of us, by herself. She had a lot of help from the community, which I'm super grateful for. My biological father, he lives in Washington State, and we talk every now and then. But for me, like just seeing her hardship growing up, I really looked up to her as a strong, independent woman.
And
Mm.
what was the Lao community like in, where you were growing up? If you could, dive into that.
Yeah, so I lived in 12 different states growing up. So I lived in a lot of communities. And what's so amazing about Lao community is you can just say what your last name is, who your parents are, what village you're from, and people know you. You know, it's really incredible how throughout our traveling days, my mom would just pull out a yellow pages, white pages or whatever,
Hmm.
look at the last name and call and be like, "Hi, I'm so and so from this village, and I need a place for me and my family to stay while we're traveling to get to point A and B." And they let us. And I thought that was so crazy awesome, like wow, that's really unique in our Lao culture.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Lao culture, what I love is they're very communal. I feel like I can go into a Lao household and treat it like a family blood member and just go through their fridge and get whatever I want to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm glad you sort of brought the sort of challenges and hardships that you faced growing up, right, Miss Joy, especially with a single mother. I can only imagine. And so I wonder if that sort of inspired you, because you did mention before that you were calling yourself Miss Joy by the third grade, right? And so I want to know sort of the story behind that in terms of like how you became, how you sort of asserted that name into your life.
Sure. It's kind of silly, but I laugh all the time whenever people ask me. I had a third grade teacher who I thought was like the most amazing human being on the planet in my third grade world. She was really, really great. And she had gone away and got married. We had a substitute. I was really confused. Like, where's my favorite teacher? She changed her name to Mrs. And I was really heartbroken for some reason. And so I was like, well, I'm going to be Miss Joy then from now on to live in her memory.
Yeah,
That
it's
is the story of how I became Miss Joy.
it's a
Oh,
really cute story, and you
it's
know,
like
I,
wanting to bring joy to your friends and
yeah, definitely.
keep that positive vibe and keeping it around. That's beautiful.
Yeah, she was such a lovely lady and she was a really great teacher. I had been around a lot of different schools, at such a young age that I really enjoyed that she was warm and welcome and I didn't feel like an outsider.
Oh.
I wonder too, Miss Joy. You have such a bubbly personality, and I wonder if that sort of inspired that too, or sort of like following in that sort of footsteps of being very personable. And I think that's what people really see on the outside of you know. We were talking earlier about sort of like your heightened personality of once you become DJ Miss Joy, right? Or you are on the stage performing, and so and on top of which, right, like your mom is also a single mother, and so I'm seeing a lot of like the strong, independent female roles in your lives that really is, I feel like, the embodiment of what DJ Miss Joy is, right? Like it's a celebration of you and your, um, of just like womanhood, right? And so yeah, um, along these same lines too, I do want to talk about the different because growing up in America, we often face challenges in school. And you said you didn't attend higher education or college or anything like that. And so I want to like talk about that too. I wonder if that was a conversation you had with your mom at the time, to be like, hey, I'm not really feeling this, or this is not the path for me, and I'm really going to try to pursue music, right? And so I want to know about that conversation as well.
Yeah, sure. I want to circle back to what you're saying about my persona as DJ Miss Joy. I really enjoy having my name. When we came to America, we were sponsored by Mama and Papa in Holland, Michigan, and they had sponsored a lot of families from Laos and from other parts of the world, like Africa and stuff. And um, they were a pastor at a church and just really beautiful human beings. And when my mom was pregnant with me, they all wrote down names at a church, and they were like, "What should we name, Vietnam's daughter?" And so it came to be my name is Joy now, Joy Christine Ngaosivath. And I'm I think that like just the energy that I felt when everyone was naming me in the womb gave me that light, joyful energy. But uh, yeah, so the question that you have for like right now with like my higher education, it was really hard at first to get my parents to be on board. My stepdad helped raise me when I was like 9 and until now. So, and they both agreed that I should, pursue higher education. And so when I got out of high school, I told myself if I'm still doing the same thing, which is like going to events, enjoying music, and just being in like the party scene, like just being around lively people and like DJs, musicians, dancers, when I'm 18, I'm gonna try to go back to school. So I did that when I was 18, when I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. My southern slang comes out when I talk about the South. When I went to school, I realized like I can't believe that I'm paying for school, and the teachers, I don't really like my math teacher I really love, but like other teachers, I was like, I don't understand. Like, why do I have to do this when I know that music is where I want to be? I want to do this for the rest of my life until I change my mind again. But it's been 22 years since I've been DJing. Yeah, learned. So
Yeah, and I think that's like as we were saying earlier before this actual call, and um, is that I feel like a lot of people in our community are sort of learning how to tread the line of pursuing a career of passion versus a career of sort of like stability, right? Um, for me personally as well, I'm sort of learning how to tread those lines as well. For those of you who may not know, I'm also a musician as well, and sort of have sort of also been in the scene. I've performed with different orchestras before and that kind of thing. But it's hard to sort of ask yourself what you really want in life, right? And I think like a lot of times it's derived from our community's sake of, or at least our parents' generation, thinking that I came from Laos, escaped a secret war, and the trauma of it, to come to America to not only provide my family a good life, but also you as my children. And so there's
And
still like that
survival.
survival. Yeah, it's a constant
Yeah.
struggle, and it's a mentality I think that's still existing in our community, that we're still in sort of like survival mode almost. And so I'm glad you bring that up too, Miss Joy, in the fact that like we're you can't really decide on a career that you're not passionate about, right? Or you can't do things that you're not passionate about, because you end up sort of stuck in this rut of like, I could be doing something more. This is not something that's my passion. And so I think you're really the embodiment and testament to just like an inspiration to people that can just say like, hey, if Miss Joy can do it and she is living a life of passion and she's able to make it work, then so can I. And I think that's just like a very inspirational message to people in our community that are really searching for that message as well. Um,
Yeah. And how did you, I mean, did you face any challenges at all when it came to, people trying to control your narrative in any way or try to divert your passions to something that they would find more um, n- practical in their eyes? How did you have those conversations?
yeah, that's a really great question that I've been asked quite a bit, because I think that my job it's very taboo for the Lao community. What I learned growing up was that if you're out at night late, it's a bad, like you're a bad girl. In my household, that's, basically my mom was like, I've never been to a bar. She's super straight edge, very, very super strict. But it wasn't until I DJ'd here in Las Vegas, and my first show was at this really big nightclub. At the time, it was the largest nightclub in the nation at the time, at the Palms. And when my parents saw what I did, like, they're like, oh, we get it, daughter. Like, we understand now. I just had to put them in the situation where they understood that this is a professional path and career. This is not me playing games. And so, with my narrative, I've been able to guide myself through this nightlife, this scene, and be really particular about holding myself accountable for being a lady, for being, not like this party animal, whatever, even though I like to party and twerk, like, I like to have fun, but my mom always said, Joy, people are gonna judge you, and what are people, she was always like, there's a magnifying glass, like under you. If you do this, if you wear that, if you say this, if you drink that, or and my mom has traveled with me to 4 different countries, for my DJing. Like, I take her as my plus one because she's my bodyguard, like she keeps me in check, and I love it. It's hard to have that balance, but in my Lao American experience as her daughter, I want to perform and please her. It's just what I like try to do and aim to do. It's not always perfect, but I try.
Well, that's very relatable because a lot of us always want to make our parents proud and please our parents. So I can totally understand that. And if for all of those who are just tuning in right now, this is Who We Are, Laotian American Virtual Series. I'm Vakanda Loangafe,
I'm Chase McDora.
and here joining us is Joy Ngaosivath, or DJ Miss Joy, based out of Las Vegas, and DJed crowds of 15,000 plus people for more than 20 years, 22, from Maui to Monaco. And so, DJ Miss Joy, it's been, when you talk about having to make your mom proud, that is very relatable because, when it comes to first generation Lao Americans, when we want to pursue our passions that may not come off as the most practical or stable career in our parents' eyes, who have came to America through much trauma, and they, in their eyes, they see it as, well, we didn't struggle and strive this far just to see you struggle to get what you want in life. So why are you doing this? Why can't you get a job that pays consistently? And so a lot of times I find that first generation Americans, or the younger kids, can really shut their parents out, and it creates this disconnect between the child and the parent, as in, like, well, you don't understand me, and these two different narratives. But what you did was you really built that bridge with your mom, who you mentioned was very strict and always wants the best for you, but you really did put in the effort to build that bridge. You brought her to the arena. You brought both of your parents to the arena to watch you work, so they can finally understand where you are in your place, where you want to build yourself, and how you want to walk in your life. And you've really created and built this respect from your parents, and that is something that we should all follow suit, to build that bridge with our parents and connect with our parents, and really put in that effort to communicate in an effective way, the way that you did. You were very sympathetic to what they're saying, empathize what they're saying, yet you still gently push your own views. And that's very respectful, because standing up to our parents is hard, and you did that.
Thank you so much for your validation. That feels really good to be heard and seen. I know that the road to that is not smooth. Like it was definitely hard. But when I think about it, you know, my mom was a teacher, and I feel like we learn by example. And so growing up, she's always teaching me about her Lao culture, where she's come from. She was also Miss Lao in her country. So she was always talking to people. She's always the center of like this community attention where she, you know, like was at parades and just like gave like the community positive energy. And she always says like, I'm a lot like her. So whether if I do it through music or any other form, I feel like I am just a thread of her. So I feel like that could be something that was more unique in my experience with my mom, because she has lived that life that she goes, okay, you know, I don't understand DJing because, or nightlife, because this is how it is in Lao. But now that I know, I see why you are so passionate about what you do. And um, just expressing from passion is just part of my innate quality.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows that you really take on this lesson of being able to effectively communicate with someone of a different perspective, especially your mom, to say, you know, if there's anybody who doubts me, I can handle it. Because if I can handle my own mother, who was first questioning what I want, then I can handle anybody who doubts me. So these are the sort of lessons that you've really applied and with anybody who speaks to you. And this is why you have gotten as far as you did, you know, traveling the world, DJing all over the world for 22 plus years at crowds as big as 15,000, you know, from Maui to Monaco. I mean, wow, just your accomplishments is so great and grand. And, you know, it's all because the lessons that you've applied from how you've built this relationship. I mean, what other lessons could you say that you've applied to achieve where you are now?
I love that question, because I know that the relationship that I have with my parents and just really trying to create harmony within our family is the same type of relationships that I have outside of my family unit. You know, like I would not be able to accomplish so much in my career without everyone lifting me up and supporting me. I have a really great team. Like my agent has been my agent since 2004. Him and his wife are like family to me. The connections that I have in this city, or just in my professional world, is like, you know, it's kind of like a family. You know, like I'm just like, I can just be myself, and the unique part is like magic happens. You know, off of just being who I am and not having to go against my moral compass, which is something that my, you know, our Lao culture is very morally driven, being, you know, Buddhist, like growing up for me, Buddhist, or any type of spiritual background, and that it's instilled, you just have this mentality of just doing the right thing and it will get you far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, doing the right thing, it will get you far. When that saying is so subjective at times because we have to take into account what situations we're in, what life path we have. Everybody has a different life path. So what does it mean to do right, you know, under the circumstances that you're in? And it shows that you do right based on what you're seeing, based on what you feel is right under the circumstances and the way that you want to live your life, and depending on what your goals and missions are. So I can see how that has really helped you going forward and building these relationships around you, like your your peers and your colleagues, you know, with people who are outside of your family. You've really built that. It's almost like you're building your own empire and you're expanding and getting far. So, you know, I really want to, I can't wait to see, you know, what your future holds. And when you go forward, I know you wanted to not only DJ around the whole world, but also do a lot of social activism work and environmental issues, bringing awareness to that. So, as we talk about the future, um, I really want to hear about what that looks like. What your next projects and goals are, and what that looks like.
Thank you, Vakanda, for asking this really in-depth question. I knew from a very young age that being Lao, I wanted to do something for our country, for Laos. And when I went to Laos for the first time in 2011, I have gone back to me considering several times because I've stayed for long periods of time back in Laos and I did a lot of really cool stuff with the community. I felt like I wanted to kiss the earth. Like I felt like I had came home, even though it was clearly like I was American because I had like purple hair, I had piercings, like dermal piercing. Like I just looked like I just stepped off from Vegas. But with that being said, like I love that I am from here and I'm able to use my DJing to raise awareness for Legacies of War mission to remove the UXO unexploded bombs in Laos. Um, there was over 27 million bombs that were dropped over the period of 9 years. And when I say that, like it took me a long time to say it without just breaking down into tears. And whenever I see anyone suffer in general, but especially when I learn about like the hardships of Laos, like it really hits home. Like I feel like it still gives me goosebumps that this is an issue. And our founder Chanapa, she believes that we can remove all the bombs within 10 years, but we have to continue to work hard at it and keep our advocating to remove the bombs and get younger people to be interested in this. Because when you think of it, when I am in my 10-year term being a board member in on at Legacies of War, I want to pass the torch, to someone else who can continue that, because 27 million bombs is a lot, and even if it's not from within your family circle, it's still a U.S. problem, meaning that U.S. bombed Laos for those many years, and it's an issue, a human rights issue. It's a land, and preservation issue as well to help remove all that.
Definitely, it's I think a really big concern that still has the traumatic like results in our community, our diaspora community, right? Like, I think it's just a very large source of grief that I think oftentimes goes unannounced. So like, especially here at Lana, we really appreciate what the team at Legacies of War does and all the work that you all do to sort of facilitate these kind of conversations, right? Because I do agree, right, Miss Joy, that we really have to engage the young people in our diaspora community to really be involved with the future of our community, right? Because not only do we have issues at home, home being Laos, right, that our community is still facing and challenging and wanting to address, but also I think we owe it to ourselves to also retain the cultural information of our community, the stories, and that's something that Wakanda is doing with her team at the Law Project as well. So these are kind of conversations that we are really looking to have, and really appreciate you sharing your sort of story with Legacies of War. I do want to show a quick clip. You recently did the Make It Rain challenge with Legacies of War to raise money for the organization and the efforts. And so I do want to show that to people. And you can talk a little about that afterwards as well. But let me go ahead and pull that up for us and we can look at it.
But without action, the leftover scars and remnants from UXO and Laos will last forever. We are also making it rain to invest in future advocates through Legacies of War internship program. Help us reach our goal of $10,000 by April 30th. You can take action by donating today at Legacies of War. I want to wish everyone a very happy Lao New Year. Sokti Pimai. Thank you very much and Kok Chai Lalai.
Happy New Year! Oh my god.
It's such a cute video, and I'm glad you know that Legacies of War has this sort of campaign going just to make it more a little engageable, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a heavy topic to have, but it's nice when our community can sort of rally behind a challenge like this. And so, you know, if you have anything to share with that as well, you know, feel free to.
Yes. So we weren't able to make our goal of 10,000. We were able to raise a third of that, which is, good, but we still need to be able to provide funding for our internship program, as well as, like our legacy team is such a small team. All the money that we have received through Chanapa, having Obama go to Laos for the first time, our first president to go to Laos, they were able to get, I believe, $90 million over the course of, I want to say, 3 to 4 years. Uh, I'm ex exactly accurate with the dates or the years, but none of that money goes to us, for us to, continue to make sure that the work is done where all of the bombs are cleared. So that's the reason why we are still fundraising continually for Legacies of War for our team. And Sarah, our chief executive, she is doing such a great job with carrying the torch, after Hanapa, our founder, had stepped down. Like she's, our Chanapana will always be in the mix, but Sarah's doing a really great job. It was her idea to do the Make It Rain challenge, and we just have a really young and youthful group of board members and executives. It's just so fun, and they do keep it very lighthearted for such a heavy topic, and I feel like I'm in exactly the right place in the organization.
Mm-hmm. And so what's the next challenge going to be?
Well, the way that people can get involved, we don't have any new challenges yet. I will be creating something around for my birthday, which would be August, and I'll definitely share it on my social media when you all let everyone know where I can be found. But what you can do is you can join our Lumbong Circle. And Lumbong Circle is, of course, uh, Chase and Vakanda, you both know that it's a dance, a fun dance that you do in this circle setting. Like the song plays, sometimes the band goes longer. You, you dance with your uncle, your auntie,
Aw.
like, and you just keep on dancing around in circles. So that concept of Lambong Circle comes from highlighting different people in our community and talking about how they're connected with legacy before our what you can do is you can donate a monthly, and that goes towards our mission.
Mm,
So
yeah.
join Lambong Circle. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. I mean, especially for so many people who love to dance out there and enjoy music just like you. So being able to incorporate music and dance and do the Lumbong Circle, that'd be fun because then not only is it engaging for the person creating the video, but it's also bringing in more people into the video to dance and do the Lumbong. So it's almost like, together they can do that sustainable donation of a monthly sustainable donating. So that's really
Yeah.
cool. I mean, it's so great. I think that's so great because the dance will involve more than one person in that video, and it's definitely going to spread more awareness. So wow, that's exciting. Can't wait to see that launch. And you said that's going to be in August on your birthday.
Oh, well, in August is something that it's a different thing that I'm doing, but the Lumbong Circle, the concept is around the Lumbong, but it's not an actual dance where we can get together unless we have a party in person. Then we'll definitely do a Lumbong dance. But the circling, the monthly donation is something that our viewers can definitely look into if they wish to be a monthly donor for our cause.
Yeah, definitely. That's we'll definitely be able to link all of your information. And so we'll link all the information to your social media, and also, that there they can also access where they can support your work as with Legacies of War. I do know that you're also doing an event with Lao Women in Art as well as a moderator, and feel free to also share that information as well.
Yes, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. It's actually going to be on 12. So you can watch the replay of it on Legacies of War Facebook page. There will be a Facebook Live event. We have Kim the Diamond is going to be one of the artists. I can't remember her last name right now, but her IG is Kim the Diamond. And we have Sydney, who is a really great actor and also a movie producer and the writer of Mommy Eats by Grasshoppers. So we have three amazing women that I'm going to moderate this wonderful and fun talk. And it's a free event. Yeah, you can watch the replay on Facebook.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
thank you. Definitely going to check that out. Absolutely. So yeah, we'll be sure to help promote that too and check that out, because that would be something that I would definitely want to be involved in. So, and take a look at and watch. So that's so great. Wonder, what kind of advice could you give to those who really want to follow their passions in their career and also incorporate social activism work and bringing awareness? Like you.
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you so much for asking it. I feel like following your intuition is really, really valuable. Even if you have this like pinching pain of like suffering, like why can't I do what I love, or why doesn't somebody understand, why can I not be supported, like follow that, like be that lotus from the muddy waters and just continue to shine towards the light, because that will lead you to do really amazing things in your lifetime. And I would also say to have a good relationship with your higher power, whatever that may look like for you. Having spirituality within your human self is, for me, part of this beautiful existence of just being here. And if you feel that something is really unique to your calling, like say if it's animals or like environmental issues, or if you'd like to learn more about how you can volunteer with Lana or Legacies of War, or anyone else out there doing really great amazing things for our community, reach out. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. That's where you bloom most, is when you serve.
Definitely. And I'm glad you bring that up too, Miss Joy. Like, that's such great advice for our community that, one, first we talked about sort of like your untraditional career pathway and leading a life of passion. Definitely leading in a way that's compelling to your life, right? And so encouraging others to really, listen to what your body's telling you, what your mind is telling you, that if you are searching for a career passion, then go for it, right? Like, you have all the tools at your hand and you have a community that can support you. So that's the first set of advice. And secondly, be definitely involved in the community, involved with the community work, keep hold of traditions, and our community will go far, definitely. So thank you for those 2 rounds of advice. Really appreciate your time. And so now we've reached a point where we're going to transition to the Q&A portion from our people who are viewing tonight. And so we'll take any questions anybody has now. So if you have any questions in the chat, please drop them in and we will answer them shortly.
Thank you. Looking forward to all these questions.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. You might see us in some different clothes today. So the session you just watched is actually recorded from earlier this week because I do want to share that Wakanda had the great opportunity this evening to really represent the Lao Project on an event, a virtual event in Boston. So I want to congratulate Wakanda and the Lao Project team there. And I'll kick it off to Wakanda, and then we can continue the Q&A portion. And we also do want to show Miss Joy's narrative portrait on the Lao Project as well. So Wakanda, kick it off for us.
Thank you so much, Chase, for those kind words. Yes, I had the opportunity to share what the Lao Project is all about, which is a collection of narrative portraits of Lao Americans from all over the nation. And the purpose of that is to connect Lao communities from across the country and also to have those stories live on through space and time. Portraits of Lao Americans to resonate with and connect to and see representation in. And hopefully that becomes a mentor and mentee relationship from there and to empower each other. So thank you so much, Chase, for those kind words. And I know, Miss Joy, you have been so effective in the way that you have DJ'd and brought music into our lives, and not just through music, but through social activism. And I know that you have really dove into your narrative portrait, and thank you again for submitting a narrative portrait, really speaking about your life from A to Z, how you started, why you became a DJ, and the challenges in that, and how you've overcome that, really trusting your intuition. I want to bring up the Lao Project narrative portrait. We can scan that right now, and just for the audience to see, and they can look at the narrative portrait at www.wakanda.com/joy.
Yep, so we'll pull that up right now.
We'll pull that up and then we'll take a look. And you've DJ'd big arenas from Maui to Monaco. Just wow. It's amazing. And I just, I want to see more of your work. And I know that you mentioned that you want to continue to DJ all over the world and to continue bringing awareness to legacy before, which we'll dive into.
So folks are watching it now.
And it's so great, Legacies of War. And that is something that I really want to dive into and really see how we can all participate and help.
Absolutely.
And I know you can tell us that. So thank you so much for that.
Yes, so the folks on the live actually just were able to watch the narrative portrait screen. The format is a little different today, so Wakanda and Miss Joy weren't able to see it, but it is very beautiful. I'm glad to see sort of everything that we sort of talked about with you today, Miss Joy. Sort of like the thing that I was most interested about with this session was being able to learn more about who you are as a person outside of your DJ persona that we talked about earlier this evening, right? And I'm glad that we were able to sort of touch base on that, and even the sort of quirky, funny story that you shared of us of how you got your DJ name. That's those are the things I really think make character. So we do have a few questions, and I as this sort of live stream was going, some of my friends actually tuned in, and one of them has a question that involves sort of how you want to sort of take your DJing post-pandemic. So the question is where are you going to go after the pandemic and tour?
Hello, everyone. Sabayati. Thank you all for coming for this live session and asking really cool questions. Post-pandemic, I want to travel to Europe more. I was able to work in Europe, and it just seems like a really cool place. I had my passport for 10 years, and the last place that I did go for my birthday was Peru, and that was the last stamp of uh, the book. So I have to renew my passport and see where the next 10 years takes me. But I'd like to go to Europe, is my dream.
Awesome.
Wow. And we've always, you're a DJ, you're really putting music out there for people to dance and really get lost in and follow the music and so that way we can feel the music through our bodies. I wonder, what's your favorite style of music? What do you typically listen to during your alone time or just when you're cooking?
Well, I love that question since I'm such a musical head. On my own time, I don't listen to actual music. I listen to podcasts. Like I love listening to things like that are Lao-centric, like Healing Out Loud, or just hearing about other people's stories. I like listening to spiritual conversations like with Oprah and just things of that nature. I believe that because I have so much music in my life and I'm always studying music for my clients for a gig or something, that it's really in abundance. For me, dancing wise, I really love breakbeats. It's a style of music that I enjoyed. That's that specific sound that I'm talking about is from Florida, and it's like really funky breakbeats, very like breakdance oriented. That and drum and bass is really fun. And drum and bass is a really fast sound. It's like 160 beats per minute, and you're thinking like, how can you dance to this? But I can definitely break a sweat and cut a rug with those two styles of music.
Wow. And how did you come across to, learning to like break beats? You're not from Florida.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in North Kakalaki, North Carolina, where I learned how to love music, the scene there was heavily influenced by the Florida break scene. And so I would always go to these events where I had these music, and I would be given like little mixtapes. And I remember whenever me and my family went on road trips, I'd be like, Mom, put this in, put this cassette in. And we'd listen to jungle music like for a whole 2 or 3 hours, just like in breaks. And I would just be so happy. And I would ask my parents, I'd be like, does this music bother you? And they're like, no, it doesn't bother us. I was like, wow, you guys must really love me. Because the music is kind of it's all electronic music, so
Mm.
I'm having my very how do I say, like like very loud parents that listen to only loud music, and then like the contrast of my music, they always welcome my music, so I was grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Along those same lines, Miss Joy, there's another question from Amber asking about your biggest musical influences. And on top of that, I would do want to add, there's another question as well about who are some of your mentors for your work.
Yeah. Hi, Amber. Thank you so much for asking that question. My influence for music would be DJ Icy, Baby Ann, DJ Huda Huda. They still perform. I was able to catch some of their live stream during pandemic, and that was really fun. Bringing out some of my records that I had of theirs and playing them was like really brought me back to the original sound of the music that I love. So anything that is like broken beat, funky, that's fresh. That's my sound. And Chase, can you repeat the second question?
Yeah, of course. So Lisa is actually asking, who are some of your mentors?
My mentor for my professional career, I would say I have a lot of people that were able to help me. And I feel really grateful because all the experience I've had with different DJs and business owners in the nightlife really helped shape me for who I am. But the people that help hone in on my professional career is Jared Mendelsohn and Trish Mendelsohn, his lovely wife. They're like my family and been my agent since 2004. Really helped guide me and allowed me to grow and bloom in Las Vegas and abroad. You know, they've been able to help me get me out of the state, out of the country, and they're my biggest influence for music.
Great, great. Thank you for that, Miss Joy. And there's one last question that we want to ask before we move on to the ending the session. But the last question is from Angel, and she asks, or she says she loves your hair. And what do you think your next hair color will be?
That's, you know, everyone always asks me that question, and I ask myself the same thing. And the reason why is because my friend Jasmine, she calls me her hair muse. I literally like will sit in her chair and she'll like do all the, you know, take out all the color and everything. And then she'll be like, okay, so you want to know what we're doing today? So I literally don't know what I'm doing. She'll be like, what are you feeling? I was like, orange. Okay. And then from orange, like we collab on my hair, but she is a great hair artist. Her name is Jasmine Farrell. She is at the Noise Project. You can find her on Instagram. She's incredibly humble. I want to talk a little bit more about her because she's so fabulous. I always get asked, how long does it take to do my hair? And it literally takes 7 to 8 hours. But I know that sounds kind of like, what? 7 hours? What? But literally sitting with Jasmine, I feel like it's only 2 to 3 hours top, maybe three. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
bring snacks, we talk, and it's like going to a spa. You know, it's really important to have this connection with people that you spend a lot of time with, whether if it's your family or your friends, you know, that you don't take away your energy from each other, but you continue to build each other. Even if, you know, they're doing your hair for 8 hours, like it feels like a breeze, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I am all for spa and having somebody who is a good friend take the time to do your hair for you. You know that you can trust them, that they would do it with so much care.
And love, and like we both just grow. So it's I don't know what my hair color will be next. Maybe you all can give me some advice and like put some colors in there, you know. But
I vote fuchsia to purple.
purple, okay.
I think that's a
Have,
beautiful color. I've been buying flowers that color lately.
okay, maybe we will do like an orchid
Or orchid,
purple.
like the flower in your background, that would be so beautiful.
That's true.
Well, well, we want to thank all of you for tuning in, and special thanks to you, DJ Miss Joy, for joining us.